Mm.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds, but it looks like most people have come in, and we're going to start right on time so that we can give you back as much of your evening as possible. So I will get going. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that while volleyball is played across all of this province, I'm talking to you tonight from the traditional and unceded territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, the Musqueam, and the Squamish First Nations. This is where our offices are based, and we feel very lucky to reside and to play volleyball in these beautiful lands. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. For those of you who I haven't yet met, my name is Emma Gibbons and I'm the CEO of Volleyball BC. And joining me tonight is Adrian Goodmurphy, our Head of Programs and Pathways, whom I'm suggesting most of you probably know already. We are hoping that this is going to be relatively short and to the point, because we're going to take this opportunity to review some documents that we've already shared with you. But we welcome any questions that you have as we go along. And Adrian's going to keep an eye on the chat and the Q&As. And actually, on that note, if someone wants to try and pop something in the chat or the Q&As, we'd very much appreciate it so that we can make sure that both are working. So, as I mentioned, this is a very practical session tonight to review some of the new requirements that we've put in place. So the agenda is relatively short. I'm going to first speak about the context and the reasons for some of these new changes. Then we're going to go through the requirements before talking about any resources or support that we can offer you. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end. Oops. Okay, so I'll kick it off with a little bit about the context. I'm not sure how many of you would know this, but last year we had 85 clubs across the province, which is amazing because we've been steadily growing over the last few years. And we every year ask you when you join what kind of organization you are. And this is how people responded last year. So 51 out of the 85 are registered nonprofit. 24 were considered themselves volunteer run or unincorporated. And then we had 10 that were for profit or sole proprietor or another status. And so the vast majority of our clubs are nonprofit, but we are very open to organizations joining us that are formed in many different ways. And we really value that. I mean, essentially, we're here to provide volleyball to BC residents and across the province. And we recognize that different clubs are set up in different ways to meet those community needs. So our main priority is to really try and keep those barriers of entry quite low so that anyone who's looking to try and set up programs or clubs within the community are able to do so. Now, I will say that actually, coming from another sport myself, this is actually quite unusual. A lot of other sports do set more rigorous requirements. And you can see also I've listed up there that the Ontario Volleyball Association and the Alberta Volleyball Association both require their members to all be nonprofit. So they do have a few more requirements about how an organization is set up. But we are not planning anytime soon to go down that route. We also allow clubs to operate activities outside of us. So as some of you will be aware, you offer camps, clinics, in-house programs, private coaching, lots of different activities that may not be sanctioned by Volleyball BC, which really means that we don't require individuals to be registered through us and we don't insure them. And again, we're well aware that clubs do operate those. And we really want to help, again, preserve this diversity and allow clubs to have some flexibility about how they operate. The caveat to this is that we have seen increasing complaints coming to us about clubs, mostly around inconsistency of club policies or people being frustrated because they don't know what the refund policy is, or they feel that they should have access to financial statements, or they just don't understand like that maybe a camp or clinic isn't under us, and so we really have very limited ability to help them. And so our requirements that we're looking to introduce this year are really to just help increase understanding amongst consumers about what it means to join our sanctioned club. So, you know, there are requirements that we do have of all of you to be our members, and we want to help promote those and encourage people to understand that when they join a club through us, it means that a club has met certain standards. And so we are going to be promoting that a lot more. But equally, we would like them to understand that there are certain areas that we are not able to do anything about, and we don't really want to get into trying to mediate what essentially is an internal club operating issue. And so our way of doing that is to encourage better education of consumers so that they understand when they join a club what it means if a club is nonprofit, what it means if a club is for profit or unincorporated, and understand that there are different things that they can expect from the club depending on how it is set up. So that's the intention, is to increase consumer understanding. And the second part to that is really to increase understanding between you and us. So, you know, what it means for us to interrelate together, how we mutually interact to serve athletes and families, what you can expect from us, and equally what we expect of you. And so really, again, to clarify that and encourage closer working relationships on top of how we already operate. So that's the context for the changes that we've introduced this year. And I'm now going to take a moment to run through these one by one. So, and some of these, as you will see, are requirements that we have had for a while. So there aren't any changes, but there are some new ones as well. So the first requirement that is no change from a previous year is that you have to complete our online club registration form, and you also have to pay an associated fee. The one difference I will say this year is because of some of these new requirements, you need to have those already prepared and completed before you do the online form, because the online form is going to ask you to upload documents. And so you won't be able to complete it if you haven't had taken a chance to go through what those new requirements are. The second requirement there is an agreement to uphold our code of conduct and ethics and other Volleyball BC policies. Again, this is no different than previous years. We always ask our clubs to uphold the policies under which we operate, and you can find those policies on our website under the About section. And again, no change. This is something that we've asked for many years. The third item listed there is something that is new. We are asking you to publish your complaint or dispute resolution or issue resolution procedure and a point of contact for complaints on your website, or if you don't use a website, maybe it's a Facebook page or your main communication channel for your members. And again, relating this back to what I was saying earlier, our attention there is really to help athletes and participants understand what they do if they have an issue or a complaint, and how your club will address these complaints. Because as I mentioned earlier as well, we've often received requests to intervene on complaints that are club related. And especially, I would say, when people are very unsure about who they go to or how they make a complaint at the club. So our intention there is to make sure that you all have those procedures and those points of contacts available so that people are able to know where to go if there is an issue. I will preface this by saying that the content of those policies and procedures are at your full discretion. So we are not looking to implement a certain process or like mandate that you have certain things included in the policy. It is entirely up to you, your board or your leadership, how you want to structure your complaint process and what you want to have in that policy and procedure. That being said, we also have a template dispute resolution policy. So those of you who don't have this, and if you want to have a template that we had developed in conjunction with sport law, there is one available for you to download on our club director's webpage. It's in Word form, so you can download it, you can tailor it as you want, you can add in your club name, you can make it, you can make changes until you're happy with it, and then you can save it as your own. So that resource is available for you, but again, to be clear, we're not mandating that you use it. This is really at the discretion of your club. And again, that last point there, please just make sure that this policy and your point of contact for any complaints is posted on your website or the main communications channel that you use. Oh, okay, going on to the next one. So this is something that we have asked you for in the past, or at least asked whether you have one. And it's the provision of a parent, guardian, athlete, and coach code of conduct. And many of you already upload these to us, or at least provide the links where we can find them already. But this year we are asking you to upload, to ensure that you have these and to upload and share them with us. Our intention, again, is to just make sure that your expectations of behavior from your athletes, coaches, and parents and guardians is fully transparent and is provided to your members upfront before they agree to participate in any of your programs. And it will also be incredibly helpful for us if there are any questions about it, and we can direct people to these documents. And similarly to the previous requirement, the content of these documents is at your full discretion. We have some templates on our club webpage, as I mentioned previously, but really this is up to you and for you to develop collaboratively with your leadership and to adopt them and then upload them as part of your application process. The next part is very similar as well. It's the provision of a conflict of interest policy. So our intention here is to make sure that athletes, participants, your volunteers, your staff are aware of what you consider a conflict of interest and how you will manage it in your club when it arises. Again, quite often we are brought in or asked to mediate in situations where there's a perception, at least, of a conflict of interest within a club, and it's not typically within our jurisdiction. And so this will enable us to be able to direct people to the conflict of interest policy that you have, and to hopefully allow better resolution of issues when they arise. And similar to the other, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, similar to the other documents, content is at the full discretion of your club. We also do have a sample conflict of interest policy, as well as some just generic interest on what conflict of interest means and how that can be managed. That we have a resource that's available on the club director's page that you can read through if this is something that your club does not currently have. And again, you'll be asked to upload this as part of the online club registration. And actually, if you wanted to take a look at Volleyball BC's conflict of interest policy, you can find that on our About page as well. The next requirement is really just formalizing something that we've been doing already. So one part of this is that, as you will all be familiar, we have a independent third party that has been appointed, ITP Sport, to deal with any complaints that are related to abuse or maltreatment. We also have a discipline and complaints policy that addresses issues that don't fall under ITP Sport. And so when we have something that is of a severity that it has been referred to ITP Sport or has been through our discipline and complaint policy, we do confidentially notify you if it involves an individual who works or is an athlete or is a participant at your club. And so we will confidentially notify you. It will usually be me that sends an email to the club director that is listed, that you've listed as the point of contact for the club. And we provide information about any sanctions that we have or that have been applied by us or by the independent third party. And so this is really a requirement, or formalizing that and saying that when you receive that information from us, we're expecting that you uphold these sanctions and support them. The part that is relatively new for this is that we are now asking for you to have a reciprocal relationship on this front. And so that if you in turn determine that there are disciplinary sanctions that you apply to any of your members, and they are members who are registered with us, that you share this confidentially with us. And that would be through using reporting@Volleyball BC, which is a confidential email that comes directly to me. The caveat around that is that if these are individuals who are not registered through us, so for example, if they're a recreational participant that you operate outside of Volleyball BC, then we don't require a notification at all. This is really just to ensure that we have a visibility on anything that we need to on a registered and sanctioned member of our Volleyball BC community. And then finally, there's a couple of two confirmations here at the end. The first is confirmation of your organizational status. So again, we already ask this of you in our club application process. We would like to know whether you're a registered nonprofit, whether you're a charity, unincorporated, nonprofit, sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. Those are the different options. And if you are a registered nonprofit, we're asking that you provide your society number in the form, which is your S number, if anyone wants to know what that one is. And we will be listing this. So new this year, what we're going to do where we have our listing of clubs that are in good standing is make a note of the organizational status of each club against that. And again, this comes back to the fact that we are quite frequently dealing with parents and athletes and families who are coming forward and asking us for information about clubs or wanting to understand why they don't have access to certain information. And so this really just helps inform them upfront what they can expect with that. And then the second part, or the final part here, is confirmation of programming that the club offers that is sanctioned by us and that is not sanctioned by us. So as we've already sort of been through, we do allow clubs to run other programs that are not registered or sanctioned by us. And by that, we mean the participants are not registered through us. You use insurance that is not us. That's completely within your prerogative and your right as a club or a separate entity. But we are required to know who is insured through us and who is a member within the Volleyball BC family. And so we are going to start to list again programs that are registered and sanctioned by us as opposed to those that are not. And this again comes back to the fact that quite often we're receiving requests to intervene in resolving issues or complaints, and they are programs that do not fall under us, and we really don't have any jurisdiction over them. So that's the intent on that front. And that's the end of the new requirements. Coming with these new requirements, though, is that we have a memorandum of understanding that we are asking every club to complete and upload as part of their application form. And the requirement around this, which again requires a little bit more organizational planning before you complete your online registration, is that the MOU should be circulated and shared with the board or the owners or leadership prior to signature, so that everybody who is involved in a position of authority has awareness and understanding of what the MOU contains. So once you have done that and you're able to sign it, it will get uploaded as part of your club registration form. We then download it and countersign it and send it back for your files. So in a nutshell, this is what's in the MOU. It has a term of agreement which really covers our membership year. So it runs until August the 31st in 2026. It includes the fee of $350, which is the registration fee for the club. It outlines the member benefits or what you can expect to receive as a sanctioned Volleyball BC club. And then, as I mentioned, it goes through the communication of the policy and states that it will be shared with the board or the owners prior to signature. And then it goes through application requirements, and those requirements mirror the ones that we just walked through. So there are no additional ones. It just outlines those requirements and says that's part of completing the MOU. The appendix is also added, which outlines what it means to be in good standing with Volleyball BC. And again, we just wanted to add some clarity here about what, again, you can expect from us and what we expect from you and what it means to be considered a Volleyball BC sanctioned organization. So the list on the left-hand side of the screen is really what is required to maintain good standing with us. And again, these are not, that there is nothing in here that is new, with the exception of the parent and spectator code of conduct and expectations, which is something new that we are developing for this year and we'll send to club directors to circulate to your athletes and families before the club season starts. But for everything else, this is pretty much standard of what's already in our club handbook. So there's a 1-year probation for new clubs. You commit that you'll register all individuals participating in programs, that you'll ensure that PIAs are completed by any person in authority, that you'll register your board or list of authorized officers, that you'll participate in our information and training and meeting as far as possible, that you'll monitor and ensure that coaches are in good standing, that you'll comply with any safe sport directive, that you'll maintain the same name and operate with no more than a 1-year gap. This is really just to make sure that there's continuity in our clubs. And if a club needs to cease to exist and then has to restart, it will re-enter the in good standing piece. That you'll participate in any complaint or discipline process, and that you'll comply with any provincial requirements that come from the province of BC. So again, these are items that are pretty standard that we've been doing for years. And then on the right-hand side of the screen are some of the actions that we may take if we find that you are in breach of some of the good standing requirements. And again, we have implemented these in the past. It's really rare, but it has happened. And then there's, in the appendix, we also outline what the requirements are to get a reinstatement of good standing, which is really to comply with any sanctions or measures and then pay any outstanding fees or sanctions that are required to us. So again, this is designed really to create some clarity and to ensure that we have a mutual understanding of how we work together and what it means to be part of the Volleyball BC sanctioned clubs. And that is the end of our very short presentation. Oh, no, well, that was the end of the presentation part on the requirements. This slide really just walks through some additional resources and support that you can expect, especially over the next few months as things start ramping up. So as I already mentioned, templates for all the required policies are now available on the Club Director portion of our website. They're in Word version, so you can download, you can tailor, you can edit, you can amend, you can do what you want with them. New this year and coming in the next few weeks is that we are going to be transitioning our Club Director resource page to a secure password protected web page. So when you complete your online registration and you sign up with us, we will be generating a password that's specific to your club, that you'll be able to share amongst other club leadership positions. And that will give you access to the web page, which has all the resources and the links that we've referenced. So we're going to be essentially moving our Club Director page to a hidden page so that we're able to share information with you that isn't necessarily relevant to the public, or that we maybe isn't ready for public consumption at that point. So expect that in the next few weeks. We're just getting that finalized and we will be sharing it. We also have a whole host of other webinars that are set up. One big one that I'd encourage all of you to attend is next, a week today. where we'll be having a presentation by Sport for Life that will share the recommendations that have come out of our club competition review that's been undertaken over the last 8 months. And we will be reviewing those and presenting them to you. And there's also sharing some of the adjustments that we're making for this upcoming season in light of these recommendations. And then there are a whole host of other ones to just support you in really getting yourself set up and to get all your positions of authority fully registered, insured, and also through the PIA check. So we have some webinars on that and also on what our insurance covers or doesn't cover, and on risk management. So between now and really the middle of October, Peter and others in our team are setting up a whole series of different webinars that really help to, as I say, hopefully get you up to speed and ready to set yourself up for the upcoming season. So if you have any questions, especially around the support or the issues, or if you have any technical issues with registration, please reach out to Peter, who's at the members@volleyballbc.org email address. He is working very hard, and I know a number of you have already been in touch with him to try and get things set up and ready to go. And then, of course, your regional manager or regional coordinator, they are also available at any time for any help or support. And I wanted to just finish this by saying, like, we have put together some sessions there and information on topics that we think will be helpful for you. But we are also very, very open to suggestions. So if there are areas of club governance or operations or our own programs that we offer that you would like us to provide more information about, or maybe have a webinar on, we would really welcome hearing from you. So please do reach out to Peter for any ideas or suggestions on that front. And then I think we are up to questions. I whizzed through that. So Adrian, is there anything that we need to address?
There was one question. They wanted to know if a member of their club files a complaint with ITP or VBC and it doesn't reach the level of criminal or safe sport violations, will it be kicked back to the club for their complaint process?
Yeah, so if we get, so essentially somebody can go either directly to ITP Sport or it comes to us and we refer it on to ITP Sport. They do quite a detailed triage process, and then they essentially email me with a recommendation about jurisdiction. So they will say, yes, it meets the threshold. We recommend that we handle it as the independent party, or they'll say, doesn't meet the threshold, or we consider it a level 1 complaint under your policy. So we're going to kick it back to you to handle, which has happened a lot. Or they will say there's another level where they'll say this actually isn't really Volleyball BC's jurisdiction either. We feel that actually the club is best positioned to handle that. And so there will be a notification process that comes to you as the club, as the club lead or the club director that provides you with information about the complaint. So yes, it will get kicked back down. That does make me think, though, that for those of you who don't know, I keep talking about this, but there is something called, I think it's the Safety Zone or the Safety Hub through ITP Sport. It's all on our Safe Sport page, but they basically have a great resource for club directors and coaches where you can call them or you can email them and you message them and they set up a time to chat with you. So if you have a complaint that comes to you that is within probably the club's jurisdiction, but touches on sort of safe sport related things, or you're not sure, maybe it does, or maybe it doesn't, they are more than happy to chat with you. We pay for that service for our clubs to be able to access it. So that is something that is available. It's fully on, I think it's called Safe Zone. It's listed on our Safe Sport site. And I know that there have been some clubs that have used that and have found it very helpful. Anything else, Adrian?
No, I think I've answered the ones that have popped up in the chat and in the Q&A. So if anybody has anything else they'd like to ask, please go ahead and ask it now. Otherwise, contact details.
Yeah, and I'm just having a quick read through too. But yeah, there is a checklist that is on the club director's page. that goes through all of this. So basically the presentation we have given you, it talks about the different requirements and it talks about where you can find the resources to help you, especially around the policies. That's all on the club directors page on our website, and it will help you pull together where you might need to use templates. So it spells it all out, but again, Peter's more than happy to answer any specific questions that people have. We know we've had, I think, about 25 clubs already complete their registration. And so there's a number of people that have already gone through this process. So we anticipate it shouldn't be too overly onerous for people. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to remain.
Oh, no,
Anything else?
1 sec. Nope, that was it.
Okay, perfect. Well, we thought it would be short and sweet, so here we are. It's 30 minutes. We will record this. We will send out the slides to all of you who have registered for the PowerPoint for the webinar, and we'll send out the PowerPoint slides and we'll send out the list of the information with it. But thank you all so much, and we're excited to get going on the next season and see you all very soon. So enjoy the rest of your evening.